Welcome to the Sagebrush Trail. Stories of Western adventure from the frontier to the Yukon. I'm Mardell, reading The Virginian by Owen Wister. Chapter 17. Scipio moralizes. Into what mood was it that the Virginian now fell? Being less busy, did he begin to grieve about the girl on Bear Creek? I only know that after talking so lengthily, he fell into a 9 days' silence. The talking part of him deeply and unbrokenly slept. Official words, of course, came from him as we rode southward from the railroad, gathering the judge's stray cattle. During the many weeks since the spring roundup, some of these animals had, as usual, got very far off their range, and getting them on again became the present business of our party. Directions and commands, whatever communications to his subordinates were needful to the forwarding of this, he duly gave. But routine has never at any time of the world passed for conversation. His utterances, such as, "We'll work Willow Creek tomorrow morning," or "I want the wagon to be at the Forks of Stinking Water by Thursday," though on some occasions numerous enough to sound like discourse, never once broke the man's true silence. Seeming to keep easy company with the camp, he yet kept altogether to himself. That talking part of him, the mood which brings out for you your friend's spirit and mind, as a free gift or as an exchange, was down in some dark cave of his nature, hidden away. Perhaps it had been dreaming, perhaps completely reposing. The Virginian was one of those rare ones who are able to refresh themselves in sections. To have a thing on his mind did not keep his body from resting. During our recent journey, it felt years ago now, while our caboose on the freight train had trundled endlessly westward, and the men were on the ragged edge, the very jumping-off place of mutiny and possibly murder, I had seen him sleep like a child. He snatched the moments not necessary for vigil. I had also seen him sit all night, watching his responsibility, ready to spring on it and fasten his teeth in it. And now that he had confounded them with their own attempted weapon of ridicule, his powers seemed to be profoundly dormant. That final pitched battle of wits had made the men his captives and admirers, all save Trampas. And of him the Virginian did not seem to be aware. But Scipio Lemoyne would say to me now and then, "If I was Trampas, I'd pull my freight." And once he added, "Pull it kinda casual, like I wasn't noticing myself do it." "Yes," our friend Shorty murmured pregnantly with his eye upon the quiet Virginian. "He's surely studying his revenge." "Studying your pussycat," said Scipio. "He knows what he'll do. The time ain't arrived." This was the way they felt about it, and not unnaturally this is the way they made me, the inexperienced Easterner, feel about it. That Trampas also felt something about it was easy to know, like the leaven which leavens the whole lump. One spot of sulkiness in camp will spread its dull flavor through any company that sits near it, and we had to sit near Trampas at meals for 9 days. His sullenness was not wonderful. To feel himself forsaken by his recent adherents, to see them gone over to his enemy, could not have made his reflections pleasant. Why he did not take himself off to other climes, pull his freight, as Scipio said, I can explain only thus. Pay was due him. Time, as it was called in Cowland. If he would have this money, he must stay under the Virginian's command until the judge's ranch on Sunk Creek should be reached. Meanwhile, each day's work added to the wages in store for him, and finally, once at Sunk Creek, it would be no more the Virginian who commanded him. It would be the real ranch foreman. At the ranch, he would be the Virginian's equal again, both of them taking orders from their officially recognized superior, this foreman. Shorty's word about revenge seemed to me like putting the thing backwards. Revenge, as I told Scipio, is what I should be thinking about if I were Trampas. "I dasn't," was Scipio's immediate view. "Not till he's got strong again. He got laughed plumb sick by the bystanders. Whatever spirit he had was broke in the presence of us all. He'll have to recuperate." Scipio then spoke of the Virginian's attitude. "Maybe revenge ain't just the right word for where this affair has got to now with him. When you beat another man at his own game like he done to Trampas, why, you've had all the revenge you can want unless you're a hog, and he's no hog. But he has got it in for Trampas. They've not reckoned to a finish. Would you let a man try such spite work on you, and quit thinking about him just 'cause you'd headed him off?" To this I offered his own notion about hogs and being satisfied. "Hogs," went on Scipio in a way that dashed my suggestion to pieces. "Hogs ain't in the case. He's got to deal with Trampas somehow, man to man. Trampas and him can't stay this way when they get back and go to working same as they worked before. No, sir. I seen his eye twice. And I know he's going to reckon to finish." I still must, in Scipio's opinion, have been slow to understand. When on the afternoon following this talk I invited him to tell me what sort of finish he wanted, after such a finishing as had been dealt Trampas already. Getting laughed plumb sick by the bystanders, I borrowed his own not overstated expression, seemed to me a highly final finishing. While I was running my notions off to him, Scipio rose, and with the frying pan he had been washing, walked slowly at me. "I do believe you oughtn't to be let travel alone the way you do." He put his face close to mine. His long nose grew eloquent in its shrewdness, while the fire in his bleached blue eye burned with amiable satire. "What has come and gone between them two has only settled the one point he was aiming to make. He was appointed boss of this outfit in the absence of the regular foreman. Since then, all he has been playing for is to hand back his men to the ranch in as good a shape as they'd been handed to him, and without losing any on the road through desertion or shooting or whatnot. He had to kick his cook off the train that day, and the loss made him sorrowful, I could see. But I'd happened to come along, and he jumped me into the vacancy, and I expect he's pretty near consoled. And as boss of the outfit, he beat Trampas, who was setting up for opposition boss. And the outfit is better than satisfied it come out that way, and they're staying with him, and he'll hand them all back in good condition, barring that lost cook. So, for the present, his point is made, you see. But look ahead a little. And may not be so very far ahead. You'll have to look. We get back to the ranch. He's not boss there anymore. His responsibility's over. He's just one of us again, taking orders from a foreman they tell me has showed partiality to Trampas more'n a few times. Partiality. That's what Trampas is plainly trusting to. Trusting it will fix him all right and fix his enemy all wrong. He'd not otherwise dare to keep sour like it's doing. Partiality. Do you think it'll scare off the enemy?" Scipio looked across a little creek to where the Virginian was helping throw the gathered cattle on the bed ground. "What odds," he pointed the frying pan at the Southerner, "do you figure Trampas being under any foreman's wing will make to a man like him? He's gonna remember Mr. Trampas and his spite work if he's got to tear him out from under the wing, and maybe tear off the wing and the operation. And I'm gonna advise your folks," ended the complete Scipio, "not to leave you travel so much alone, not till you've learned more life." He had made me feel my inexperience, convinced me of innocence undoubtedly, and during the final days of our journey I no longer invoked his aid to my reflections upon this especial topic. What would the Virginian do to Trampas? Would it be another intellectual crushing of him, like the frog story? Or would there be something this time more material? Say, muscle or possibly gunpowder in it? And was Scipio, after all, infallible? I didn't pretend to understand the Virginian. After several years' knowledge of him, he remained utterly beyond me. Scipio's experience was not yet 3 weeks long. So I let him alone as to all this, discussing with him most other things, good and evil in the world, and being convinced of much further innocence, for Scipio's 20-odd years were indeed a library of life. I have never met a better heart, a shrewder wit, and looser morals, with yet a native sense of decency and duty somewhere hard and fast enshrined. But all the while I was wondering about the Virginian, eating with him, sleeping with him, only not so sound as he did, and riding beside him often for many hours. Experiments in conversation I did make, and failed. One day particularly, while after a sudden storm of hail had chilled the earth numb and white, like winter in 15 minutes, we sat drying and warming ourselves by a fire we built. I touched upon that theme of equality, on which I knew him to hold opinions as strong as mine. "Oh," he would reply, and certainly, when I asked him what it was in a man that made him a leader of men, he shook his head and puffed his pipe. So then, noticing how the sun had brought the earth in half an hour back from winter to summer again, I spoke of our American climate. It was a potent drug, I said, for millions to be swallowing every day. "Yes," said he, wiping the damp from his Winchester rifle. "Our American climate," I said, "had worked remarkable changes at least." "Yes," he said, and did not ask what they were. So I had to tell him. "It has made successful politicians of the Irish, that's one, and it has given our whole race the habit of poker." Bang went his Winchester. The bullet struck close to my left. I sat up angrily. "That's the first foolish thing I ever saw you do," I said. "Yes," he drawled slowly, "I'd ought to have done it sooner." He was pretty near lively again. And then he picked up a rattlesnake 6 feet behind me. It had been numbed by the hail, part revived by the sun, and he had shot its head off. Join me next week on the Sagebrush Trail for more cowboy commotion in the Virginian by Owen Wister.